Hi, my name is Hunter Swift with Dealer Socket, and today we're going to be discussing emerging email best practices. Now, I get asked the question a lot, is email dying? We hear a lot of this talk about technology and social media and mobile. Companies might think, well, should I be doing any type of email marketing? Well, it's still one of the most productive and cost-productive forms of marketing that any company can do. In fact, 89% of marketers still consider email an important part of their marketing plan. But in the times that we've been sending out emails, I think we have learned that we've gone away from just sending out an email blast to everybody and kind of spraying it and praying it. What's really now, it's all about creating a really killer email in regards to high open rate, high click-through rate, and high engagement. And so that's some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. In a recent survey, 77% of customers preferred that when they receive any type of promotional message from a company that it was via email. So this is an important statistic to know that we should be still marketing via email. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what goes into making a really exceptional email. And we're going to look at subject line and content and design and a couple other things on how to measure success. So the first thing that I want to talk to you is about subject lines. When we talk about successful email marketing campaigns, usually one of the measurements that we use is open rate. We send out this email blast and we want to know, well, how effective was it? Well, let's look at the open rate. But we often forget that the single most important reason that somebody opens an email or not is because of the subject line. So we want to make sure that we use some of these pointers that we have here of having a relevant information in the subject line, personalizing it if you can, Bob, here's your information that you requested, or hey Bob, here's our newsletter. Or if somebody maybe is submitting a lead on a particular product, let's say it's a car, saying, hey Bob, here's the information on your Toyota Camry that you requested. So when people see this in their inbox, that they know exactly what it is, and we're enticing them to click on it. We also want to make sure that it's very concise, and also we want to try to stay away from anything that will be picked up in spam filters. So try to stay away from sell and offer and free and those type of things. The next thing that we want to talk about is that it's actually coming from an actual sender. A lot of times we use maybe a reply all or a generic email address that's coming from the company. We want to make sure that we use it from an actual person. There's a little bit more personality from it. And one thing that I've been seeing a lot lately, especially in company emails, is something from a do not reply. You get it and you know that it's an automated email, and there's no reason for me to reply to that email, especially even when I have a question. So if you always make it personal, you're going to have a higher open rate just by that. The next thing that you want to do is make sure that you have some type of branding when you're emailing. You want to make sure that you have a consistent message, maybe the same colors, the same font, but just having something consistent so that when you are advertising either on a billboard or radio ad or TV, that the message that you're sending out via email, that it kind of correlates and people recognize that when they see this email, they automatically connect it to your brand. So make sure that it's consistent. The next thing is about the content. We talked a little bit about having that kind of personalized touch in the subject line, but we also want to make sure that it's personal content in regards to the email. So want to make sure if we can to use a code snippet where we can insert the name, Bob, here's the information that you requested. And if you just have that name, you can almost double your open rates and effectiveness by making it personalized. And the next thing we kind of talked about too is about getting away from just the spray and the pray, about really target marketing. And it's about sending the right message to the right person and at the right time. And really taking the data, and instead of just sending it out to everybody that you have an email address, take your data and try to segment it into different groups. So these are my prospects, these are my customers, these are my people that I can service. And really look at that and say, who are in a buying cycle? Who is in this position to buy? And so, those are just some important things. And just a couple of things that we've already mentioned is no more spray and pray. And again, sending the right message to the right person at the right time about really sending it, right at the right time. And a question that I always ask is, are you marketing to the 20% in the market or the 80% that's not? And I think a lot of times we focus in maybe that percentage where we're really not, have any traction. So these are just kind of a quick comparison between just the blast versus the very targeted marketing, the generic versus targeted, broad, custom, sporadic, or strategic. And because of that, you can really, the measurement is either quantitative or quality. And so smart businesses that are really incorporating email correctly and successfully is really trying to give a dialed in, targeted message to those customers. Because nothing makes a customer mad than when they just bought something and then you send them an email saying, hey, here's $500 off this product, and they're like, well, wait a minute, if I knew that, I would have waited. So you want to make sure that you're always sending the person the right message at the right time. Another important part is when we're sending out these emails. And with the majority of emails now being read from a phone, it's the first thing that we see usually when we wake up. This nice little graph here talks about how the highest click-through rate is actually early in the morning. So if you are doing kind of any email marketing campaigns, it's important to consider that when you're sending out these emails. Now the next thing is in regards to the actual email address itself. You know, a lot of people are kind of reluctant in regards to giving this information out. You know, my personal email address is my first and my last name, and I would have loved to have hunterswift@gmail.com, but it was taken. And so now, you know, it's something different. And because of this, you know, email address that I have now, I'm really, I use it all the time, and I don't really want it to get spammed. And so when I give it out, I'm sometimes reluctant, and if I'm not giving anything in value in return, then I might not give you the correct email address. So if the customer trusts us enough to give them an email address, we've got to make sure that we don't abuse it, don't spam them, but that we're also sending out some content that's valuable to the customer. The next thing that we want to do that I think is missing in most emails is a really obvious focus or a call to action. It's in regards to you're sending out this email, and what I see a lot of times is people will pretty much take a copy of their website, all their buttons, everything that's on a website, and put it into an email form and send it to their customer, hoping that they click on anything. But the most effective emails are ones that have like a call to action. You know, hey, call me, hey, you need to do this, click on this button, and make it so that when you're designing this email that it's up front, you see it, and it's saying, hey, this is the purpose of this call, or this email is to call me, or to set this appointment, or to click on here to see the specials, instead of just having a broad information and hoping they click on anything. And another important part too is about images. You know, we're definitely an image people. You know, we love looking at images. It's a way for us to a picture set, you know, is 1,000 words. But make sure that we're sending out information that's relevant. Also, that with a lot of emails that block images from being downloaded, we want to make sure that the message is conveyed even without images. So those are just some important things. The next thing is about sending information. So instead of sending like a copy of your website, if you're selling something, if there's something that you're trying to promote, try to create a link, a call to action, so that they click on that, where then it opens up maybe a page on your website that will have all the information that they need, so they don't have to go anywhere else for it. But the call to action on the email should be, hey, I'm trying to send you this e-brochure, or I'm trying to send you this information. This is what the focus of the email is, and this is what I'm trying to get you to click on. Another important part is integrating video into your emails. Now, people have been incorporating video for a long time, and I still get emails today where it says, hey, here's a great video, click on it, and it has the URL string. It's just a link, right? It's more effective if you can embed an image, right? If you're using a particular email client that allows you to do that. If not, just do a screenshot, like a thumbnail, and put it in there and hyperlink the image. It's important because a lot of people click on videos just based off the preview, and so if there's something enticing visually for them to click on versus just a link and not having any idea, it's really important. And then the next thing I want to show is, DealerSocket is a CRM, a customer relation management for car dealers, and they've been really incorporating email and video into email a lot. And a friend of mine, Elise Kephart at San Luis Obispo Honda, is probably one of the best people that I know in regards to integrating YouTube into emails. And I'd like to show that real quick here. So let me just click on this.
Hi, my name is Elise Kephart over here at Sunset Honda in San Luis Obispo. I wanted to send you this personalized video greeting so you could put a face with a name, who is going to be working for you, and also to thank you again for your internet request. I just left a voicemail for you. My number here directly is area code 805-540-6666. As mentioned, I have some great news for you. It is pretty early here in the morning. I'm going to be in the office until about 6 p.m. this evening, and if I don't hear from you this morning, I will reach out to you a little later today. Thanks so much again, and here are a few testimonials from some of my customers.
Police is awesome and really easy to work with. I got a good price, I got good service.
So as you can see, this is a great example of how to incorporate video into an email. So let me just jump back into my presentation here real quick. And so this is just one thing that you can do. It's really the why buy here or why buy from me. And Elise does a great job. She actually personalized this message for each person that she deals with. So it's a great way when she sends some information to a customer just to make that differentiation of why they should do business with her. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the email design. Now there's a thing called the pre-header or the header that's at the top of the email. Now it's important that when you send out this email, we call this the Johnson box or above the fold. You know, when there's like a desktop email client that's receiving the email, this is usually what is previewed. So we want to make sure that we have some relevant information there. You know, the logo, maybe the call to action, the reason, or maybe a logo right in this box. But the next important part is really about the first 100 characters of the email. You know, a lot of times we forget that when an email is opened up on an email that they see a little preview, all they see is really those first 100 characters. So when we send out an email and we say, hey, dear Bob, the information, you know, here's the reason that I'm sending you an email, our call to action is usually at the bottom, and I suggest putting it at the top. So even if they don't click on the email, when they're reading it, they see that important information right at the top. So that's just something that I think is an important tip. The other thing in regards to just design and making sure that we don't go too wide, it's definitely an up and down instead of a left and right. Try to use different panels that separate the content, maybe by color or by line, just so you know that it's not all run together. You know, kind of really about, you know, again, with the images, of making sure that if the images aren't downloadable, that the message still is conveyed. And it should, another thing too, is there's something called alt and title tags, and it's kind of in the HTML, and hopefully you know how to do this or somebody can help you. But when you upload an image, you can actually put a text box on that image so that when that image doesn't load, it will still read the text in that. And the reason that I'm showing this is I get a lot of emails that have their company logo or maybe, you know, the name of the company, and it's a picture, and if that image isn't downloaded, I don't know who this email is from. And so if you just put the text of, you know, this is the name of the company into that email, even if they don't download it, they'll still be able to see that information. In regards to the copy and the content, we want to be able to use short, concise sentences. We don't want to be telling a story. Make sure that we use bold typeface so that it kind of highlights different sections. You know, do bullet points. Make sure, you know, just some obvious things of making sure that we use some web-safe fonts. And then I like to use a minimum of a 13 size font in the body, and 22 is a minimum in the title. I actually do 24 and 14 because you have to remember that a lot of these emails are going to the phone, and you want to make sure that they can read these emails versus having to kind of zoom in or not being able to see this. And in the footer, this is usually where I put all the contact details. This is where I'll put links to the web page, like specials. And another thing that I like to add is just a statement of why they are receiving this email. A lot of times we send these emails to the customers and people are like, why am I getting an email from this? And they're about to hit opt out, but when they see this thing that says, oh, you recently submitted a lead, this is the reason that I'm emailing you, or you recently signed up for this marketing, it might give them a reason to just think that that's the reason versus you know, wrongfully acquiring their email address and sending them an email. And then most email providers have some type of, you know, automatic unsubscribe. We want to make sure that, you know, we are using that you're opt-out compliant to where if you are sending information to a customer that they can opt out of those messages. Now a great way is to, you know, use technology. With DSUS CRM, one of the cool things that we have is when you opt out of an email, instead of just opting them out, a box comes up called the customer preference box, and it allows the customers to choose how they would like to be communicated, and says, hey, you know what, I don't want to receive any sales or promotion, but when it has to do with maybe my vehicle or the safety of my vehicle, I do, and they can actually choose if they want to get that message either email, mail, or by text. So there's some cool things. Also, we want to make sure that we're incorporating social media. It should be something that we're working together, both social media and marketing, email marketing together. And then another important part is we talked about is just having a very mobile optimized email. So we've kind of talked a lot about this. Mobile email accounts for 15 to 65% of opens. We've got to make sure that we have a good font for them to see. Also, if you want anything to click, make sure that there's spacing, and a lot of times we will have like a link within some, maybe a paragraph, and it's hard for the customer to always click on these buttons that you want them to click on. So make sure that you think of that about the spacing, so that when you do want them to click on it, that it'd be easy for them to click on it and not happen to have to zoom in or click on something by accident. A lot of the new designs through HTML5 is about having templates that are scalable and responsive, meaning as you move the window, the whole design changes. So those are some things in regards to kind of the now or the future of email design, is having these really adaptive and responsive email templates. Another thing too is in regards to a smart reply. I think a lot of companies are still using some type of autoresponder. Some person submits a lead, make sure that we're sending them some intelligently smart replies. For example, if somebody was inquiring about a Toyota Tundra, we don't necessarily want to send them an email with a stock photo of a Camry on it. So making sure that we can look at the information that we're getting and then send relevant information back to them, I think is important. Now, as we get to the tracking of this, it's important that we look at the effectiveness. And so just some basic numbers in regards to the open rate is, within the first 0 to 30 days, there's been some type of lead that was submitted or some interaction. So you should have a high email open rate, and that should go down from 30 to 90 to 25 to 35, and then after 90 to 120 days, it should be to 15 to 25. But the thing about this is that it's all about the subject line. So you could have an email that's maybe 120 days after the customer submitted a lead, but if the email subject line is enticing enough, they're going to click on it. And so these open rates, it really can't be a great way to track the effectiveness of the campaign. I really use it as an effective way to track the subject line and the fact that it's actually getting to the inbox. One of the things that I do like to do when I'm sending out information to to my customers, instead of sending an email out to 1,000 people on my list, I'll actually split this list into two, and I'll do some A/B testing, and I'll send the same email to the same group of people. I just split the group up into two, and I try different subject lines to see what subject line gave me the most open rates, so that I know for my market, for my business, what's the most effective. So just something to look at. Of course, you want to be able to look at any type of reporting that you can see. When you send out emails, you should be able to look at the unique opens, unique click-through rates, if anybody reported you as spam. In regards to the unique opens and the unique clicks, you want to be able to look at, who's clicking on this link, and what links are they clicking on. And a great way, if you are integrating email into some type of business development center or call center, allowing them to reach out to people who have clicked on the email, who have looked at this information, instead of just kind of hoping that the people that you sent the email will come in, but do a follow-up call based off the click-through rate. So looking at certain reports where you can say, hey, this email had 4 links, and I noticed that one person clicked on 2 links, or this was the email that they clicked on. So those are just some important things. And then the other thing that I think often we forget is to really track the engagement. When we send out a bulk email, how many replies are we getting? How many responses? Are we seeing an increase in our web traffic when we send out? A lot of times the person that's handling the analytics on the website doesn't always know when we're sending out the email blast, and all of a sudden there's this peak of traffic, but we don't know why. So it's important that you coordinate your efforts to say, okay, we sent out this email and we just saw a 10% increase to our traffic to our website. And then also make sure that we're integrating our call tracking, our phone system tracking into your emails. Having a unique phone number for each time that you market or each time you send out an email. So the phone number for your company, you have your main ring through, but you should have an individual number for anything. So if there's a billboard, a radio ad, an email, a letter, each one should have a different phone number, so that when they don't reply and they just pick up the phone and they call you, that then you can connect the email or the marketing campaigns to that call. So that's an important thing. And then make sure that when you're enrolling these customers into these multi-step marketing campaigns, that you have some type of reporting in place where you can look at, how long did it take us to sell this person after I enrolled them into the campaign. And you should see a slow drop-off rate from the time that you enrolled them into the campaign. And if you notice that as you're going, all of a sudden you get a drop, well, maybe you need to throw in an email or a call, or maybe you need to adjust the timing between activities. So just make sure that you have some type of reports where you can look at that about seeing these customers that you are enrolling into these campaigns, that they're effective. So just make sure that you can look at these reports and look at not just open and click through rate, but really be able to take some ROI and say, hey, I sold X amount of things that were enrolled into this marketing campaign, so that you can actually get an idea of, hey, you sent this email out to X amount of people and we were able to generate X amount of revenue. Well, this was my presentation. Hope you got something of value. If you have any questions, you can email me at hswift@dealersocket.com or hit me up on Twitter. My name is Hunter Swift, all one word, and I look forward to your response in regards to what you think about this video.